Yo, yo, what's up? It's a Fightologist. It's your man, Imani Mulai. I'm here hitting with my man. What's up? Introduce yourself.
Joshua Hotep Jiu-Jitsu Peters.
That's my man coming fresh off of the protest. We're in D.C., in the D.C. area, if a lot of people don't know. And if you don't know what's going on in the world, you're an idiot. But,
Yeah.
Josh, what's going on down there?
So, as you know, the protests were sparked off about 7 days ago, due to the rampant police killing that goes on in this country. And down at the protest, I'll tell you something. I've been going to protests since the early '80s. Like before I remember that I could go to a protest. This is one of the first ones that there was a spirit of actual hope and I feel urgency. Others have rage and anger where those don't translate into long-term gains. But there was a genuine feeling of hope there on where's this? I got like this newspaper that's put out there, The Militant.
Oh, wow.
So put it by a pretty leftist organization. And anyone knows me, I'm pretty liberal. They're a little off to the left of where I am. I'm not quite an anarchist.
They double left.
But you know what? It was cool to see people that are actually organized people. There was, of course, you had the modernization that went on. Black Lives Matter T-shirts, this, that, or the other thing. And I'm not sure all but maybe one or two of them were actually connected to the movement. Yeah. But you had even more people there giving out free shirts and water and food and medical aid and people talking with each other. You had people breakdancing. So to me, what marks a successful protest is one that motivates you beyond the day that you're there and is not just a voicing of grievances, but also a showing of strength and possibility. And that to me, I left there even more anxious to vote, even more excited to be involved in politics at the local level.
Man, that is pretty awesome. I mean, because we're in DC, we see this stuff all the time, but I've
Yeah.
never heard it actually like that. But I'm glad to hear that it's not like that. What was that? That Kendall Jenner commercial with Pepsi? It was. It's not like
it was. Of course. Look, at any one of these things, especially in the days of social media, you're going to have opportunists looking, because they want to get likes on Instagram. The closest thing there is this really pretty black woman who is dressed in nothing but like body paint and flowers over herself, and with the sign saying black women are magic. Yeah. And even though it came off to me as a little bit of like, oh, look at me, yeah, it still was also a celebration of culture, which is important. And when you are a culture that makes up 13 to 15% of the American population, yet you're subject to like 70% of shootings and arrests and disproportionate jail sentences. Yeah. Sometimes a rally can't just be we're upset at the situation, but it also needs to be of look at what we are as part of the human race and a celebration of what we bring to that human race.
See, that's beautiful. I mean, I'm just loving what's going on around the world. I mean, a lot of this was sparked off because of the George Floyd situation. Yep. And the thing about it was that people around the world saw it, and they saw how atrocious that was. And that was just a callback to what's been going on in this country to the point where anybody who's been trying to deny or ignore it can't. The whole world sees it, and they don't have a dog in the fight, but they just see this is some trash, just like apartheid was trash, just like a lot of atrocities around the world was trash. The world is saying, no, you people need to get your shit together, pretty much. Yep. And then so that's an eye opener for a lot of people who've been trying to, they play the semantic game, like it's not as bad as you think, it's people misreport all that stuff. Now it's like, oh, the cat's out of the bag. No, you people have been messing up. It's time
so I want to throw this. I'm going to turn this back on to you, but real quick, we do have a dog in the race. One of my favorite speeches is the Cosmos. The final speech in that he goes, for right now, there's nowhere else in known space that has life or could support us. This is our final stand. this little pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan said, that's floating out there in space. So we do have a dog in the fight, because ultimately the planet's not going to give a shit what the color of our skin is or what party we are, any of that. It's just simply going to react to the different variables that we put into the environment. And one of them is, human sustainability isn't even going to be just climate change, but just how we treat each other. So if you really care, you have a dog in this fight. So, and I got to experience this as someone who's been an advocate and someone who's been an ally, but has a different bone in the fight than you have personally, just due to the happen chance of you being born black and me being born, off white, right? But so what has been like this for you to see this, what's happening this time now as compared to, say, the LA riots or the other, times of unrest or the other police killings and, calling witness to police brutality? How has it been for you in this experience?
Well, it's interesting because I grew up in believe it or not, the Black nationalist movement. I was out there. We were learning Swahili. We were doing African dances, all that stuff. And these things have been movements. Like they move and then they stop, or we'll get somewhere and then we go. I think the biggest issue is that the opposition, the people that actually actively support white supremacy, and the people that passively just let it happen, where it's like they can live in denial. All these movements going, it's like you're destroying your own communities, or it goes over again, you get back to the streets. They can be in denial of the fact that there is an issue of systematic white supremacy, because these movements stop, and after that it gets back to normal. This is different, where it's like nobody can deny it now. Nobody can say anything, even if you don't believe it, even if you use your pseudoscience to justify why there's white supremacy is a myth or it's not a problem. The world is saying, oh no, you're mistaken. So the deniers are in the majority now. I mean, the minority. The deniers are in the heavy minority now. So it's like people have to acknowledge there's a problem. I mean, everybody's doing it. I was playing Call of Duty. The stream came on, Black Lives Matter. Ben and Jerry's is going in, but Ben and Jerry's, they're real activists. All these companies, see, that's what America's built on. I mean, it's capitalism. So all these companies, that's when they're taking notice. Black Lives Matter. They're putting it on their website. So it's like okay, people are starting to acknowledge it. And that's been the biggest problem in this country, is like nobody wants to acknowledge that there is a problem. And now it's like you have no choice but to acknowledge it. You can't just brush under the rug or wait till this movement ends and then get back to normal. From here on out, it's different. So that's how I see it personally. And I appreciate it. I love it.
So that's why I'm going to follow up on that. I'm just going to say, for anyone watching who's like, well, talk about fighters, I wanted to hear about people getting kicked in the nuts. Well, you can fuck off and turn this off, because this is going to be a big part of this podcast, and I don't really give a shit. So that being said, all these movements come down to individual humans doing individual things. What's it been like for you personally to kind of like, because you say you see like it's now something that can't be denied, but what has it been like for you personally now to experience this and not just witness it on the outside, say from watching the news or seeing it, but very much, skin in the game, or very relevant, right? You have literally skin in the game.
That's no longer a euphemism. Damn you.
No, it's not. So for you personally, as Amani, what is this like now, this moment for you? And what do you hope to see the next step of this movement as it, comes out of its infancy?
Well, the next step is happening, where it's obvious that legislation is the answer at this point. I mean, it's nothing else really. I mean, businesses, they'll adapt. A lot of the big thing that's happening right now is that black businesses are getting support out the ass. I mean, but black businesses are, and the money is shifting. So that's going to change the corporate world. But legislation is happening. Legislation has to happen. But I do want to bring this back to fighting, because this relates to me deeply. Because like I said, I grew up in the Black nationalist community, but I was never really at home until I found the fight community. And the beauty of that was that if anybody knows anything about jiu-jitsu, MMA, once you're on the mats, all that stuff goes away. All that stuff about race, creed, sexuality, all that stuff goes out the way. Even if some people leave the gym and get back to their ignorance, when they're in the gym, it disappears. and you'll see it at the highest level, even in MMA, even in fighters, they will actively attack each other. They'll get racial, they'll get all types of stuff. But after they duke it out, they hug each other. So it's like I'm sort of in a blessed position where I've seen the end result. So all of this is sort of like a precursor to what I see. But on the other hand, being a fighter, I've understood that this takes on a responsibility. You know, we're special, we're unique. We are the very few that go to the extreme and to be great. But that greatness can't be for yourself. That greatness has to be given to others. That's why, and this is going to be huge controversial. That's why I have a problem with this whole 3% mentality. It's like it's a half truth. It's like, yeah, it's only a few handful of people that are going to make it and be great, but why? If you're going to be great for yourself, then that isn't a service to anybody, and that will actually be your downfall. If you be great so that you can be great for others, inspiration to others, and actually put yourself in the line of fire, actually help other people with your 3%ness, then that's a difference. That's the difference. So for me personally, I'm discovering ways where I can use my platform, my personal pull, my power that comes from me being a media person and a mixed martial artist. How can I do that uniquely? I don't really fit in with the crowd. That's something that when you stand high like these fighters, you stand in the spotlight, you don't fit in with the crowd. So you can't do things like everybody else. So you have to find your individual contribution. So that's what I'm on the journey to. That's how this has changed me. It's like, okay, now I'm special for a reason, not just to be a world champion. I'm special to help other people. So let me figure out how to do that.
So I'm just going to try to, maybe if I could summarize that, is that basically what you're advocating is we bulldoze Congress and Senate and install a humongous mat room.
No, well, no. We give everybody MMA gloves. They punch each other and hug each other. They'll cross the line
Yeah.
right there. Not,
So I just talk something real quick.
yeah.
So, and I've only been in this just slightly longer than you, but I came from a time when this was a very white sport.
Uh,
Jiu-jitsu, was different than boxing. You get into boxing, you get your $40 USA boxing card each year, a pair of gloves, a mouth guard, and whatever. And sometimes, the gym would have that stuff. This is generally due to economics and African Americans not having generally the same opportunities or the same, um, I hate the word birthright, but the birth privilege of coming into, being born into a certain economic bracket. It was a very white sport at first, even though you still had, as Muhammad Ali, the two black people in the ring beating each other up for the entertainment of white people,
yeah,
as
that's
he
it.
described boxing in the 60s.
Well,
It's
even
changed.
yeah, just for a detour, even
Yeah.
that was the controversy with the Gracies. Like in Brazil, they would cater to the richer, often fairer skin, and then the darker skin had to go to like luta libre and the fada and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you.
So how, just maybe because it's hard to talk about anything national, but how have you seen sort of as the arts progressed or just aged? What sort of changes have you seen locally in the local fight community, the DMV area?
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, of course, like anything else, it's cliquish. You know, you got your gyms and you got your lineage and all that stuff, but those cliques aren't necessarily related to race and class and all that things. Which is we were talking about the 3% thing. That's why, of course, if you talk about that, you talk about Lloyd Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
I actually appreciate a big part of that school that a lot of people don't talk about. That school services the black community. That school makes world champions out of little black boys and little black girls.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the story. That's the thing. That's what I saw, but that's not the story. The story is that these are just individual clubs that actually can mold in melting pots of all different people and all different styles and all different groups of people like that. So I've seen it in the short time that I've seen it. It's never been an issue. It's always been an escape from that stuff. People go to the
That's
gym to
awesome.
escape. Yeah, people go to the gym to escape their job, their families, their crappy lives, and to escape race, class, religion, all that stuff. And that's something that's why I want everybody to get into martial arts, amongst many other things. It's like my girlfriend, for instance. I'm not going to put her on a blast. I'm not going to tell you where they are. She went to a jujitsu gym. Day one, she found a new family, and it's like, where else can you find that? You know, so
Yeah.
that's what I've seen.
And it's interesting. You say it's escapism, but it's escapism doing something that can give you both the mental and physical fortitude to confront and deal with the very real difficulties of the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's the disconnect, and that's what I'm battling in myself right now. Seeing this, you asked me my personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing this and saying, how can I take all the skills I learned in the gym? How can I take that getting through hard times? How can I take through shining above the rest? How can I take that survival when it's hard and apply that outside of the gym? I've done that in my job. I've done that in my relationships. How can I do that in my community? And that's the challenge that I have to fighters. If you know how to fight, if you know how to take yourself to the limit and you don't know how to use that to help others, then you're doing your community a disservice. And that's to myself too. So that's what I'm doing.
And that segues real well into what we were talking about offline. Of now, specifically in mixed martial arts, you have three big organizations. You have the UFC, Bellator, and one championship. And the interesting response, and something I like to compare, is one to UFC because it's an American organization. How? Because we also want to talk about quickly about fighter paying contracts and stuff with John
Ooh,
Jones and
yeah.
all that. But the difference between the UFC's approach to letting their fighters talk and how the brass has responded, compare that to football, and then also what one championship's response has been to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, that's crazy because Chaudhry, the owner of one championship, he said that he's not a political person, but he had to say something,
Yeah,
because his platform, his whole MMA platform is all about these are pillars of the
heroes.
communities. These are heroes. These are superheroes. Yeah. And I believe that if it's not in the contract, it's encouraged for them to do community service. All the
Mm-hmm.
fighters are out in the community. They're out there. They're doing stuff. So that's the platform. So when something happens in the community, he steps up. The UFC model is action for money, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not ashamed about that. Blood money, what people call it, fighting for money, prize fighting. And then yeah, and we can talk all about Dana White and all this stuff in the business of it. Yeah, but as far as the difference between the two, it's like some organizations are leaning more towards the human side, other people leaning more towards the spectacle side. But the question is, yeah, the judge asks you, Dana White, he's making money, he's making the sport big. All these other corporations have tried to do it the right way and failed. They just, they try to pay fighters more. They try to market the fighters differently, and they fail. So is what he's doing wrong because it's working?
Yeah, I mean, it gets because if he failed, there'd be a lot less people. There'd be a lot of fighters without a platform. And Dana White said, part of being a fighter is having a platform. And you saw in the NFL, like with Colin Kaepernick, when he wanted to use his platform to advocate for something, they blackballed him and shut him down. Whereas he doesn't. I've never, for whatever disagreements I have with Dana White on certain issues, I've never seen him come down on a fighter for voicing their opinion about a political matter. Now, Dana White is a big Trump supporter, so support of a more liberal movement might not be in his business interests or his political interests, whatever those might be. Whereas, like you stated, one championship, this whole idea they build storylines, we're building champions. Everyone's a champion there. And they're champions in how they act in the community. So they put out, this great, well, I guess challenge videos, whatever the hell they're called on Instagram now. The kids and their goddamn internet. But it's a compilation thing. So, and with ONE FC supports Black Lives Matters. They firmly put their foot in the ground and took a stand, which is a risk.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be people who watch. I have conservative friends who are like they may not necessarily be behind 100% of what Black Lives Matter, or and then you get the whole segment of people. I just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So,
I know it's tricky, but I think that in good faith, you wanna stand on the right side of history. In the future, you wanna be okay. I did things the right things. This was an example. I can live with myself at night. I mean, a lot of people sleep good on their pile of money. They stick their money bags in their pillowcase. And they sleep on that joint at night. But when you're old at the end of your life, when you're in a deathbed, you want to know that you actually made a change, and that's a cause for sacrifice. I'm not saying that the UFC and Dana White doesn't sacrifice. They help people all the time, but the country, the world is in a state right now, and to not acknowledge it or then to not actually put a foot in the game and to consider yourself a pillar of the community, because they are. UFC is a pillar of the community. So,
oh yeah.
So to consider yourself a pillar of the community, you're going to have to put your neck on the chopping block sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. At the end of the day, and what people, and for anyone listening, I'm not saying Black Lives Matter even has to be successful for this. A movement can be a failure and still be legit. You want to be able to say, listen, I did what I thought was the morally right thing to do. Because there's no price you can put on that.
Yeah.
1.5 million for anyone's listening for me. But no, but there really isn't. And onto that has been the ever-going debate on fighter contracts and fighter pay. We had a huge,
Oh
John
my
Jones
goodness.
and Dana White getting into mad Twitter beef. Twitter fingers going to turn to trigger fingers,
I know.
right? But then and Jorge Masvidal now all of a sudden, being he's
Oh,
like now he's won
going
the
nuts
last
too.
couple,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have like some crazy record like Khabib or something. All of a sudden now saying, hey, listen.
I know, but it's tricky because I know both sides of the debate. First of all, I don't think anybody can disagree. Let me know, Judge. You can't disagree. They need to get paid more, correct?
Yeah, it's such because what Dana White loves to compare. He goes, look at football, this and that. People on the practice squad are generally making a guaranteed 40 something to 50 something $1,000 a month, a year, right?
Yeah.
And these players get signing bonuses, they get guaranteed money. There's nothing like that. There's after like a certain number of seasons, they're entitled to X amount of benefits, and then there's more, and they have their own network of hospitals and stuff like that. There's nothing like that. Like, look, all right, you have 2 fights in UFC and you quit. I don't necessarily think they owe you a whole lot. But there are people that have 10, 15, 20 fights, and each of them could be their last day on earth. For as much safety protocols, everything goes on, you are taking your life in your hands in a way that's unlike anything else. You're going to go into a cage with a human being and try to do everything within the rules and quasi within the rules to kill each other.
See, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I mean, you get paid less to go fight in Iraq.
Yeah, you do get paid less to go fight in Iraq. At least there you get your housing and everything paid for.
Yeah.
So, does everyone need to be making, Mayweather money or whatever, Deontay Wilder money or whoever the big paydays are now? No, they haven't done enough laps around the track. But the base pay of like coming in at 10-10 or whatever it is, or 20-20, come on.
Yeah, I mean, well, in comparison, like I think fighters get maybe like 18% of the revenue of the company.
It depends on a contract. Now, this comes another thing. For anyone listening out there, and I try to tell this to my fighters too, and any fighter, you're not unless you have a law degree, and even if you do, a surgeon doesn't go to operate himself, a lawyer doesn't go to defend themselves. Get a lawyer, read, and negotiate. Anyone, and maybe like the Jew side of me is going to come out. Anyone who's telling you that something's not negotiable is a liar. Young Dolph told you. He told you the truth. Go get paid.
No, but that's the thing. Oh, okay. You don't like this contract? Go to Bellator.
Don't sign it.
Go somewhere else.
Don't sign it.
No, but UFC has that. Like, hey, we're UFC.
Yep.
If you want to be with us, do what we say. I mean, they can do that. I mean, it's no governing body. I was talking about this the other day. There's no MMA government body. It's still the Wild Wild West. It's promoters run the show. It's no long-term contract. I mean, you get like a fight contract, but you don't get like an annual contract. You don't get guaranteed.
And that contract in the UFC side can be canceled at any time.
Yeah, if they don't like it, if you come to
you could win and get kicked out.
You come to the octagon with a banana thong on, you'll get cut that right after that.
Yeah, Joe that? Riggs. But no, I mean, for real, they could just not like your win thing and fire you. And that also gets something that I happen to agree with Joe Rogan with. I have a real issue with win bonuses.
I mean, what's the alternative? Just guaranteed pay? I was saying finish
guaranteed
bonus.
pay.
Finish bonuses. That's what I was saying.
Maybe finish bonuses to encourage that. But outside of that, I don't think you should get a win bonus, because then you're going to say, and like people say, and I'm going to say this as someone who was an MMA judge, and I still do some of that, and reffing, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. A, they're only human. B, most of the judges suck.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, most of them suck. And 2, I've never talked to any of my fighters or any fighter in any organization. I've talked to people who fought in everything. Yeah, man, I was going to go out there and just jab and outpoint them. No, no one's saying that, because that's the most risky thing you can do. Everyone wants to go out there and finish the person. But if you're getting 2 people who are super high level, the chance of that keeps going down and down and down.
That's true.
Don't penalize people for reality.
but let's get back to the case at hand. They're not getting paid enough. We all agree that they're not getting paid
Yes.
enough. My argument is that Dana White, if he wanted to, he could claim the whole sport to himself. I mean,
He could.
him and the Fertittas put all this money in, had a reality show, advertising, putting people where they making superstars. I mean, so for one, he feels entitled. He feels like I need to get paid. I need to get paid. And two, where's the money going to come for the PI? Fight Island.
Yeah.
All that. So you don't see ONE FC. You don't see World Series of Fight, ONE now PFL. You don't see them making performing institutes. You don't see them making all these different things, having the TV shows. It's like, where's that money coming from?
Yeah, WIMG or whatever that. UFC has a multi-billion-dollar company behind it now.
Yeah, so but a lot of that stuff is still in house. A lot of that stuff is from the gate. A lot of stuff is pay-per-view. A lot of stuff is being reinvested. So Dana White has been in this thing where he's been constantly reinvesting in the sport. Even when they were losing money, it was reinvesting. Yep. So that money that would go to the fighters is being reinvested, and a good chunk is being put in his pocket because you know what, I deserve it. Yep. And it's like, how do you compete that? What do you do about that? I mean, what can you say to that?
I still think some of the NFL contracts where the players are entitled to. It was just on that ESPN interview, like something like 48% of sales, period, like retail and all that crap. Mm-hmm. They're entitled to work something out like that. It might mean taking a cut, but it is hard because Dana White didn't necessarily put himself on the hook monetarily for all this stuff, but he busted his ass, and you won't find anyone who doesn't appreciate what Uncle Dana's done for the sport. But on the other hand, why you keep bringing out the past, dog?
yeah.
I mean, you have to move on from it at some point.
Yeah. Did you make enough money? Start another business. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has other businesses, but make money off of that. Now, I think I agree with you. Dana White, to no longer make this your money horse. Get your money horse. You have enough money to invest somewhere else. Do that, and then pay the fighters.
Yeah,
it's your time to step back. Because Dana White is the star of UFC.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Conor McGregor, Dana White, and then whoever else underneath of him.
John Jones in a shopping cart.
Exactly. So maybe Dana White needs to be like, you know what? I'll get paid base pay. I'll continue the job in a certain capacity. I'm going to make the lion's share of my money over here. I'm going to give the rest of the money to the fighters. Man. That's what. That I think that is the best way to go about it before ESPN starts looking at all these tweets and thinking maybe we need to have second thoughts about Dana White or WWE.
Yeah, because you imagine what happens to the sport. We have we're both old school. As old school can be like going back to rings, judo,
judo, right? Ballet, tudo.
Yeah, exactly. Like the sport is in such a beautiful place now, and hopefully Dana White has enough of his ego in check to say, you know what, I already have a gun filled with heroin covered in tar. I'm doing all right.
Doing all right. How about I start giving these fighters what they know they should be paid?
Yes.
I know they should be paid.
He knows it too. There's no way he doesn't know. Like these anyone on the main card making under $1 million. I'm sorry, I think that's nuts.
Yeah,
not for the risk when they have to pay for everything themselves.
He knows it, but he knows it's his cash cow too, and he knows it's his baby. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to hold on to this. Let it go. Just let the money go. Well, go somewhere else. Make some money somewhere else. Just let it go.
Is he more concerned with MMA or is he more concerned with himself? Time will tell.
Yeah. Time will tell. We'll be honest. All right, man. That's a good way to end it off. To be honest, we'll see. To be continued.
Yeah, we watch. We have UFC tonight. We have like a bunch of fighters miss weight. Was it Jessica Evil Eye missed weight? Let me pull this up real quick.
I remember that. Yeah, I saw that. She was like feigning. She was like,
after 2 weeks ago talking shit about people but missing weight too, which is pretty funny.
She was over there with stinky arms. I can't stay up and stinky legs.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks, but yeah, that's true. And then hold up, you got some people fighting. Roxanne Modafferi is fighting.
Yeah, she's fighting next weekend. Oh. And all right, maybe if we're organized, I'm going to end on a real good rant. How the fuck is a woman damn near 40 professional fights in her career is the third from the beginning of the undercard? Dana White, what the fuck? She has been nothing but a sweetheart. There's not a single person who does not like her, who does not respect her. She is a company person. She's there on call whenever you need her. Give her the you say, oh, she's not the draw. Build her, make her. You have the marketing machine. You decided not to do it with Demetrius Johnson, and even if Demetrius Johnson didn't play ball all the time, no one's ever heard, oh, Roxanne didn't want to do a press conference or do this. Come on, son. Where's my Ed Lover sign?
Come on, son.
All right, get out of here with that bullshit.
I'll let you have that, man. Is there anything else before we get out of here?
Yo, here, Fightologists, we're both going to say, Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Stay safe, stay active, be vigilant, be vocal, and vote.
Word. I agree. Imani Mulai, Joshua Peters, we out. Peace.